Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Stoppage Time Stooges podcast. My name is Jacob Ephraimian. That's right. Today, they let me drive the car. I'm the host today. And joining me are two of my co-hosts, Andrew Hart, of course, and Christian DeBlock. Ricardo Martinez Paz is not here today. We, of course, miss him very much, especially after this momentous occasion for his beloved club, Real Madrid, as is Andrew's. But we got
At
a
least
lot to
I'm
talk.
here.
What? No, yeah,
At least
bingo.
we
Thank
got
God.
one. We got one Real fan.
We got half. We got half the fraction. But anywho, we got a lot to talk about today between the Champions League, Christian's Liverpool on the brink of, I don't know, bad form lately. And trust me, I know, watching a lot of Chelsea. And speaking of Chelsea, my team put together a proper thrashing of those sorry clowns, those point deduction crybabies at Everton. That is 6-0, a beautiful, just proper thrashing, as I said. But we're going to start with Liverpool because over the weekend they played Crystal Palace and they somehow lost at home to Crystal Palace. I actually, folks who watched the podcast last week, I had Liverpool in my best bet that they'd win 3-1. I promised Christian I was not doing that to jinx you. That's just an unfortunate occurrence of what happened. But because of the fact that they lost to Crystal Palace, Christian, take it away.
Well, I'll start by Ricardo apparently did not want to get in the car that's driven by Jacob. So we'll start there.
I'm not sure we trust him, but
I apparently not. But
angry driver.
I saw a statistic on Sunday that caught my attention, and I'm sure you guys have watched a lot of Liverpool this season. This probably won't surprise you. Liverpool have conceded 7 goals in the first 15 minutes this season in the Premier League, and they have the second worst goal difference in the first 15 minutes of any team in the Premier League, and they're in the title race.
That's
the only team that's worse is Sheffield United. So, great worse than teams like Wolves, Brentford, Palace, who they just lost to, Everton. Yeah. I don't know if I can give you a rant because if you can tell, I'm not in the greatest. I don't feel well, and maybe Liverpool being in bad form doesn't help that. But yeah, for those
that's
who
around everyone.
Yeah.
For those folks. So basically, if Liverpool were in good form, Christian DeBlock's voice would not be.
My throat, my sore throat, that wouldn't exist.
Wouldn't exist.
Well, he'd sound just like this though.
Anyways, this will be out probably on Friday. So for those who are watching, Liverpool are now out of the Europa League. That tie was done and dusted in the first leg. You can't lose 3-0 at home and expect to go to Italy against a strong Atalanta side and overturn the game. So my frustrations about the Europa League were at its peak last week. I kind of expected today to go as it planned, but I mean, losing to Crystal Palace off the back of a 3-0 defeat, unacceptable. And then you take into account that about 2.5 hours later, Arsenal also dropped points in unlikely fashion. So the thing that everyone expected going into the season and have kind of put on the back end of this thinking that, Arsenal probably playing their best football in a long time should win the league. And Liverpool, this is Jurgen Klopp's last run. Maybe they'll win. Instead, it's going to be Manchester City. I mean, and I think both teams have thrown it away. Andrew, you have something to say?
This is literally, it reminds me of a great movie moment. Man City. Lord Vader. Rise.
Good Star Wars.
Go on.
Yeah, I do think it's a problem, though, when you're starting games slow. So that's my frustration. If you want somewhat of a rant, I mean, my rant is the fact that we come out so slow in every single game. yes, today's an anomaly, I guess, because, Liverpool understood that they had to score 3 goals and they got one early. But, I mean, you guys have watched them a ton this season. I mean, there's so many different moments this season where you can say Liverpool took 30 to 45 minutes to get into the game. And most of the time they've been able to overturn it. But you can't ride that luck every single game for 38. It's just not it's impossible. And that's what frustrates me the most. Crystal Palace played really good defensively, but the only way to beat them is to score and force them to open themselves and be vulnerable. So that's my frustration. You cannot start games slow every single weekend and assume you're going to score 2-3 goals and get 3 points. So if we lose the title, which right now I would tell you it's going to go one way and Manchester City's going to win it all, it's because Liverpool starts slow. I mean, having a -5 goal difference in the first 15 minutes for a team that's challenging for a title is simply unacceptable. So that's my frustration point. I think Liverpool have done that way too many times this season, and if they do not win the title, that is a point of reason as to why they finish second or third.
Great stuff. Andrew, you got anything you want to add?
I mean, the Liverpool fans summed it up pretty perfectly for me. We were joking about like how last week Christian wasn't going to have a rant this week about Europa League.
I promised them frustration.
But you were like, if they lose to Palace, which you said, I don't think they will.
I did not believe they would.
You said you would go on a rant. Christian, I need at least one scream. I need you to close your fists. I need you to I need you
you
to
need like a scowl.
Unleash on that fist pumping fraud.
Slam
Whoa, hold on. Fraud.
You're right. You got him, Andrew.
All right. I mean, there's your energy. I mean, come on.
You need to go after your front three who did absolutely nothing. Nothing.
I had a question. Of the 27,000 sitters that Liverpool missed against Crystal Palace, which one annoyed you the most?
Good one.
Darwin? Which one?
Which one?
Oh my gosh.
This was a flashback. Darwin Nunez flashback.
There was the one where it was struck right to Dean Henderson in the middle, and he had
so much Endo. Time. There was an Endo.
It was Darwin.
One.
Darwin.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Had a shot wide open, and he just drove it as hard as he could right at Dean Henderson. If you put it in either corner, it would have been tie game. Oh,
not everyone could be Phil Foden.
Phil Foden's going home, so
or Antonio Rudiger at the penalty spot.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, I cried too. But Christian, you made a really good point about that stat in regard to Liverpool conceding early in the game. I didn't know that, but that's very interesting and it's very telling. One thing I want to add is, and I know Christian's not going to be happy about me bringing this up, but you could tell at the end of that game. I mean, I think Van Dijk dropped to his knees. I mean, they looked like they had the face of a team we just blew the title.
Yeah,
it's over, and that's a shame. But I don't think it's over. I mean, the fact that Arsenal coughed up 3 points to Villa the way that they did gave you some life. I still think City have it in them where they are going to have a couple negative results or bad draws against mid teams. I think that's very possible.
I can go through their fixtures quickly.
Well, real quick.
Go ahead.
Actually, go ahead.
Go through the fixtures, please. Yeah.
So for Manchester City, their last 6 fixtures are Brighton away, Nottingham Forest away, Wolves at home, and then they finish the season with Fulham away, Tottenham away, and West Ham at home. To me, the two that give me the most
Tottenham. They always lose to Tottenham. I don't know why.
Tottenham and I think Fulham away. Fulham away and Tottenham.
You love Fulham. Jinx.
But he loves Jedi. He loves Jedi.
But he has this. Christian has this weird like Fulham thing where he's like Fulham. They're
Watch out. Watch out
because
for
we're gonna probably if I have that love for them in a couple of days, then I'm gonna be really mad.
To me, the team that they could that could catch them sneakily is Wolves of all those teams because
Even
they have
away,
the
even
ability
when
to do
they're
that.
home.
Well,
Yeah.
Wolves always.
They've been really pesky and sneaky this year.
Yeah.
Really.
But
yeah.
real quick, Christian, something I'm surprised you didn't mention either, because you said this before the show. I'm going to use it to soothe you now. Those last 3 fixtures, Spurs,
Fulham, Spurs, West Ham.
Fulham, Spurs, West Ham. All 3 of those fixtures in the span of 8 days as well.
And that's because of Manchester City's FA Cup semifinal. They had to get rescheduled. Tottenham's game.
So they're going to be tired. But it is the end of the season. So because they don't have Champions League now, they'll be going all out for that. So I still say watch out. But
and I'll say this quickly. I think Arsenal and Liverpool have to win 6 straight games to win the title. I do not see City dropping points in any more than 1 game. I really don't see them dropping points at all, but I think best case scenario, they drop 2 or 3 points to Tottenham. That to me is the ideal scenario.
I don't know. I could see them having more than 1 draw. I really could. Because they don't have that cutting killer edge that they've had in years past. Haaland seems like he's in a big funk. And that's what the English media really wants you to believe. They want you to believe that he's like the worst striker in the world, which is starting to really annoy me. I mean, like he's leading the Premier League in goals.
No, not anymore.
He's tied for the Premier League lead.
No, still not. Your guys leading.
No, I
the
thought
race.
it was tied.
Does Haaland have 20 goals now?
Yeah, I think he's got 20. Look that up for me, please.
I didn't think he did.
Could have swore.
I apologize. I did not know that Erling Haaland was at 20 goals. I thought it was just Cole Palmer.
Yeah, nope. Tied at first. 20 goals.
He's tied for the Premier League lead in goals, but apparently he stinks. I will admit his inability to score on headers is a bit of a problem. I feel like he's missed a lot this year in Premier League games and in Champions League games. It seems like it's one of, and I get the fact that, you know, when he's not scoring goals, he may not be a very impactful player. Regardless of that, he scores goals. I mean,
he's got 31 in all comps.
I mean, these people saying that he's like a League 2 player. I mean, like, are you like? I'm sorry, but this is like, I'm not gonna rant about Chelsea, so this is what I'm gonna rant about because this stuff drives me nuts. The fact that like Erling Haaland's like some bum now because he's not breaking the freaking record for goals in a season. Apparently, he sucks. I mean, really? I mean, come on. Anyway,
he'd start in about every team in the world.
You're right about that.
Never forget the 5 goals against Luton.
But anyway, I think that's enough Liverpool for now. We're going to switch gears to a happier subject, and I can't believe I'm saying that before I bring up my team, Chelsea. But again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, they beat up Everton bad. And I know Andrew's got Jacob's Rant of the Week, but I'm happy about Chelsea. I mean, I am annoyed about some things. I'm annoyed about that.
Oh, well, there we go.
This is what bothers me. Everything is going good. We're cruising. We haven't given up a goal. Cole Palmer is on fire. He's unstoppable. And then, of course, we get to the penalty. And of course, who's going to take it? I don't know. The best penalty taker in the league, the guy who hasn't missed a penalty yet, the leading goal scorer in the Premier League, Cole Palmer. But no, Noni Madueke and Nicholas Jackson, like, no, because he already has hat-trick. It's my, in the words of Skip Bayless, it's my turn. No, it's not. You know why? You know why this bothers me? Because in the damn, I think FA Cup, Raheem Sterling took the ball for a penalty, and of course he missed it. Of course he missed it. When everyone knows it should have been Cole Palmer. And then I can't believe I'm going to say this too. but I got to give major props to Conor Gallagher for acting like a captain. Acting like a captain, taking the ball, pushing on and say, no. He's taking the penalty. That's enough. Props to you, Conor Gallagher. I never thought I'd say that anytime soon. And of course, Cole Palmer scored because that's what he does. He scores penalties and scores regular goals as well. But yeah, it was a really good performance. I mean, obviously they won 6-0. What bothers me is the fact that they're in like 9th right now. I don't know how many points they have, but they can still qualify for the Europa League. And if they could take care of business. Sorry, Christian, what'd you say?
3 points behind 6th place Newcastle with a game in hand.
Thank you. And if they could take care of teams like crappy Burnley and crappy Sheffield, they'd be right there. And now, you ready for their schedule? You ready?
Yeah,
let me read you this. Let me read you this gauntlet because they don't take care of business when they're supposed to. Let me read you this. Give me 1 second. So they got Man City on Saturday afternoon in the FA Cup, right after they're knocked out of the Champions League, so you know they're going to be pissed off, which is the last thing that I want. On Tuesday, they have to go away at Arsenal after they were knocked out of the Champions League and they lost to Villa at home. And then they got to, in 4 days after that, they have to go to Aston Villa. So that's 3 games in 7 days against 3 of the top 4 teams in the Premier League. Come on, man. Oh, and by the way, after that, guess who they play? Tottenham.
And then you got the mighty Brighton home
No.
a few weeks after.
Not so
I said
fast.
a few weeks after. I said
Yeah.
a few weeks after.
No, but then they have West Ham, which is not a cupcake game either, by the way. So yes, I'm pretty annoyed about that. And again, Chelsea had a decent run where and again, they haven't lost since that dreadful Carabao Cup final, but they're 4-4 and 4 wins, 4 draws. They should not have 4 draws against some of the garbage teams that they've played, as in Burnley and Sheffield United. But the team is getting a little bit better. And I will say this. I have ripped Mauricio Pochettino a lot this year, and deservedly so. But after the game, he put his foot down. He put his fist on the table, and he acted like a real manager. And I said, about freaking time. Finally, he's laying down the law. Where he said, if that happens again with the penalty situation, they're out. They're all out. Finally! It's about time you acted with your chest out. But nonetheless, great Chelsea win. It'd be great. It'd be wonderful if they could find a way to beat Manchester City. That would make my day. But you know what would really make my day? And I'll say this. If they could find a way to beat Arsenal at the Emirates, forget the Europa League. I mean, obviously I'd want it, but if you told me that they could beat Arsenal away, and that means Arsenal's not going to win the Premier League, but they don't get the Europa League, I'm taking that. Because the tears. Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, that would be amazing knowing that
Arsenal's wounded right now, so this
aren't going to win the league again. They're going to choke it away again, 2nd year in a row, because that's what they do. They choke it away. Oh, that would be amazing. But that's enough, Chelsea. Unless you guys have anything you want to add.
You've covered it as good as anyone can.
I did? Alrighty then. Now, it is time to talk about the UEFA Champions League. We are in the quarterfinal?
Yep.
Quarterfinals. We had some tremendous and very entertaining second legs. We're going to, of course, start with a game between 2 titans in Real Madrid and Manchester City. A game that went to penalties at the Etihad. 1-1. But it was all about the penalties, where Real Madrid proved to be just a little bit better when they needed to be and got the job done with an Antonio Rudiger penalty. And I want to cry too.
Cinema.
because I loved Antonio Rudiger at Chelsea. He was one of my guys. I didn't want him to leave. And by the way, this is a small, insignificant detail because I used to care about this stuff. FIFA, they would always disrespect Antonio Rudiger every year. The minute he goes to Real Madrid, do you know how much they improved his overall? +4. Because he went to Real Madrid, but no, he's at Chelsea. No. There's no evidence he's getting better. But, that's beside the point. I want to first pivot this to one of our Real Madrid fans that is here, Andrew Hard. Tell me how you feel about that performance.
This went exactly the way I thought it would. I knew it was going to penalties this whole time. Before the game yesterday, I was at work. I was surrounded by Man City supporters. I knew it was gonna be 1-1. I knew it was gonna be freaking Kevin De Bruyne. It was gonna equalize. I was so angry, so upset. But overall, that was one of the best defensive performances from Real Madrid in a long, long while.
Yep.
Antonio Rudiger. Now, if you look at FootMob, they disrespect our center backs ratings.
Well, they get a lot wrong.
Rudiger got a 6.4. He's my man of the match. Antonio Rudiger is my man of the match. The amount of shots he blocks, and Phil Foden had a shot on goal that was wide open if Rudiger didn't fucking get his body in there. Erling Haaland was shut down all day. He didn't do anything. He hit the crossbar with a header. City controlled that game. City had controlled possession. They had many opportunities on goal. Real Madrid, that was clearly their game plan to play on the counter attack and play with, they trust their defense that much. They could stand with Man City. And boy, first I'm going to start off with that first goal. Jude playing that ball, incredible first touch. Well, to get it over to Vinny, and then I thought that was offsides at first on that Rodrigo goal. But Kyle Walker with a massive mistake drifting back. That was one of the biggest dummy moves of the season from Kyle Walker. And then Rodrigo missing the first opportunity, but getting the rebound of his own miss and scoring it. Rodrigo has pleasantly, Rodrigo has been a great player before this year. He's become even better, especially without a real number 9 playing Vinny and Rodrigo up top. It has been a godsend this year. And, that connection showed, the Brazilian connection on Ederson, which was nice too. But Lunin was key. Oh my goodness, Kevin De Bruyne shot this missile on net that Lunin. It's a save a goalkeeper should make, but that type of pace, Lunin just laying his body out, fists out, punching it out as he should. Lunin was great this match. They were trying, so Man City had a lot of corners.
A lot of chances.
Lots of chances.
They dominated the game in that regard.
But
Real Madrid could hardly create after they scored that goal.
They tried. It was interesting. They tried to attack Lunin by trying to score on Olympiacos. Which they even mentioned on the broadcast, that seemed to be their game plan, and that Lunin, they thought I guess Pep thought Lunin struggled from that aspect when the ball is cutting in towards him on the corner, but he did a wonderful job at shutting those out, punching the balls out from corners, and Man City could do nothing on those. I'm telling you, best defensive performance of the season from Real Madrid. And say what you want, if I saw discourse on Twitter, Man City was the better team, Real Madrid lucked out. No, Real Madrid played their defense. They did a wonderful job. They deserved this. And then it went to penalties, which I feared. And this was the most tense moment of the season, of course. Any other year, this could be a Champions League final, these two Titans. And it was, I mean, I when I saw the penalty takers who were coming up each time for Real Madrid, I was just groaning. I was screaming. But man, like seeing Nacho, like I was worried for my life seeing Nacho, Lucas Vasquez. Of course, Luka Modric was the only one who missed, which was hilarious.
Bad penalty too.
It was a terrible penalty.
Nowhere near the corner with no pace.
Yeah, it was
still not as bad as Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, but Christian brought up a great point that I didn't even know of. Christian, you want to talk about that?
Jacob will
Jacob will appreciate this.
He's coming back to his club. So apparently, Kepa went up to Lunin before the penalty shootout, and I don't remember what year it was, but Chelsea and Manchester City
faced my God.
Final.
Oh my God.
In
the game where he wouldn't come out of the game. The game where he refused to come out of the game.
And during that shootout, Silva went down the middle against Kepa. Apparently, Kepa went up to Lunin and told him that, and it proved to pay dividends because Bernardo went down the middle.
See, I told you Kepa was valuable. I told you.
That was Kepa's moment of the season for me. Knowing that now. That was worth it. It was worth it just for that.
Kepa inside source Arrizabalaga.
But hey, you gotta really give props to Kepa for doing that, considering he's been almost blacklisted.
Unused for
because he's a great teammate.
He is a great teammate. So that's all I need. And so that was his moment of the season for me. Good job, Kepa. We'll send you back to London.
Great nugget there, by the way. Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, and I was laughing. I was crying. All the emotions building up, but all those emotions weren't as big as when Antonio Rudiger went up. Now, in extra time, Rudiger had a chance at goal, which I was going crazy seeing that. Hey, he hit it as well as a center back would.
Great, well said.
On his weak foot too.
On his weak foot. I mean,
really?
I was not.
I was not off his left foot.
Left foot.
Yeah, left foot.
Yeah,
off,
okay, yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, no. Pretty much on a volley almost. It was off a bounce. It was. I mean, I did not blame Rudiger at all for that. Now, I'll say that before I go on to talk about the penalty and praise Rudiger. The Man City's only goal came from a Rudiger block that was just the most unfortunate block, I think, in recent memory for me.
I think that was why they got the 6.5.
Sitting right in De Bruyne's foot. I was very mad at Rudiger. But, at first, but I've settled down. I know it wasn't his fault. He made a great play to block it in the first place. I believe it was Jack Grealish who shot it initially. Who I thought Jack Grealish was decent. I don't know why.
I thought he
created great chances.
I completely agree.
And Pep took him out. I was very confused about that.
The Pep subs. The problem is with this though and I want to bring this up. I mean, Haaland and De Bruyne, apparently, he said that they asked to come out. Now, I don't know if that's a fatigue thing.
I didn't know that. Wow.
An injury thing. I think I read somewhere that he said that they asked to come out of the game.
Now I got Haaland because he wasn't doing anything really this match. He was missing his chances, and I thought.
But wouldn't you want him there for penalties?
But Alvarez was Alvarez hit his penalty.
I know.
And the thing is, Alvarez could do. Haaland's very good at playing in front of the net.
The best. I think he's the best.
It's perfect for sitters. Yeah. I thought Man City played at their best with movement on Real Madrid, and Alvarez is better for that. So I actually thought that was very smart on Pep's part. And Alvarez buried his penalty anyway, so who really cares? That wasn't that. That's.
I also think that City's mindset going into extra time was to win the game in extra time.
Yes,
Not
I
go to
totally
penalties.
agree.
So in that aspect, they're not worried about who's going to be taking penalties for them. At least that's how I envisioned it, because
Well, it
City
seemed
were
like that
dominating.
because
They were in control of that match, and they probably felt that in 30 minutes they could find another goal.
Yeah. But get back to Antonio Rudiger. Oh my God. This was after Ederson hit a penalty, by the way. And that was probably the best taken pen of the whole penalty round.
I thought he was going to just shoot it with power.
It was well placed.
Yeah.
Good pace. I no wonder Pep. I mean, when I saw it, my Man City friends around me were very confused as to why Ederson was taken. I'm
he's
like,
probably the best with his feet of any goalie in the world.
I was saying, hold up.
No, absolutely.
If Pep trusts him, let him cook. Let him cook. And he
Him,
did.
Yeah. Him and maybe like Onana are the best with their feet, I think. Yeah. But anyway, go on.
But Rudiger, he comes up, strikes it. Ederson guesses right. But it hits the post. Hits the post and deflects it. It was the perfect
He could not have squeaked that thing in. Like, talk about the slimmest margin. I mean,
Thierry Henry said post game, no goalkeeper in the world could save that penalty. It was both luck. I mean, getting that deflection from the post was amazing. It didn't really have that much pace on it.
No.
I mean, if it didn't hit the post, if it was like just like maybe an inch to the left, it probably could have been saved by Ederson. But that location was pinpoint perfection. And Rudiger, that celebration post match, going to the supporters section. Oh my goodness, Jude was amazing during the celebrations. I mean, I could not be more of a Jude Bellingham fan.
He clearly loves. He
was great in the moment.
You have to love the fact that he loves showing that he loves playing for Real Madrid.
And pregame, I don't know if you saw this, but
great
he was coming out and he walked around the Man City badge. He didn't step on it. He was showing respect. He went around. That's a proper footballer right there. He showed respect to Man City, and good karma paid off. We move on to the semifinals. We play Bayern. I hate this side of the bracket so much. I really do. This is like what was going on with this side of the bracket compared to the other side.
It's annoying. It's very annoying.
Insanity.
As a fan, it's an annoying thing when they make it so top heavy on one side.
But I'll tell you what, though, we beat Goliath.
We
beat Goliath. So the fact that we survived that makes me feel a lot better. This was the opponent I was most worried about.
Yep.
And so the fact that we get them out of the way, we finish them off, we can move on. Now, you don't put your foot off the gas pedal. You absolutely cannot, especially against a team like Bayern who just beat Arsenal as well. So you say what you want about Bayern's form. They did just beat Arsenal in the quarterfinal round. So it's the Champions League semifinals now. So you can't look past them. I do think Real Madrid should be heavily favored, though, against Bayern. I still do not trust Tuchel ball and boring Bayern Munich.
Andrew, I hate to say this. It kind of works in the Champions League. He has a lot of success. He won the UCL.
He has
got to a final. I mean,
his style suited for tournament format.
I mean, he's a guy that, like, when you need a team to not concede, you call Thomas Tuchel. Like, that's
why he's going to Barca next year. But yeah, I'm telling you, you heard it here first. Tuchel to Barca. We'll get to Barca later. But if last week was the match of the year, this was the most cinematic match of the year. This was like This is Christopher Nolan's 70 millimeter take on a match of the year. And it had all the drama, the atmosphere, the coaching giants in Carlo Ancelotti and Pep Guardiola.
Yep, you're right about
that. The players, it had everything. It had everything, and it lived up.
Just sucks that it was in the damn quarterfinals.
It's my biggest complaint on this format. I hate the draw.
Yep.
It's dumb to me in the quarterfinal round. Just, there has to be a way you could seed them based off tiebreakers or goals or just some way. I wonder if that's going to change with the new format next year. The league type
Maybe
format.
It will.
I have to look into that, but I hate the draws, and it's definitely it's been definitely weird this year. But we move on from Man City, take on Bayern, and honestly, Bayern worries me more than the other two semifinalists too. So like,
they should
technically, it's just funny to me that you're going down and you're getting an opponent you're less worried about, which scares me even more because now you're worried that they're going to show up, and play to their peak. But I trust in this team.
It's like the Miami Heat.
But I trust Real Madrid because they have the players with true leadership skills. This I don't see a single bad apple on this Real Madrid side. That's the thing. And by the way, when Brahim Diaz came on, I was hoping he'd be the last person to shoot the penalty. I was hoping he'd be Rudiger's spot.
You love Brahim Diaz.
But it would have been the ultimate sweet revenge on Pep Guardiola, who did not believe in my guy, Brahim Diaz.
Well, I mean, there's only so many spots he can take.
I don't care. He didn't believe in your guy, Cole Palmer.
Well, thanks. I think he did believe in Cole Palmer. He's like, do you want to play or not? And he was like, But anyway, Christian, do you have anything you want to add about this game?
I'll quote what Ricardo said before I give my point. He said, quote, "This was the grittiest, toughest, grinded out team win Real Madrid has had this season, and what a time to have it against the champions."
Yep.
Well said,
exactly.
by our friend.
He also said that was one of the craziest quarterfinals he's ever watched, which I also would echo.
Both legs.
I will also reiterate what Andrew said about the Real Madrid defending, because City had 33 shots and only created 3 big chances. So I just think
the worst one, sorry to cut you off, and I've been wanting to say this, the 81st minute, that chance that De Bruyne missed, I can promise you he did not sleep that night, because that was an easier chance than the goal he scored, in my opinion. And that was I think the best chance that any team had that entire game. With maybe you wanted to give me the Rodrigo goal, okay? In my opinion, though, that may be the best chance any team had as far as the whole game before the penalties, and couldn't hit it.
Yeah, but just to quickly add, the thing that fascinated me the most was, and I sent this in the group chat this morning, Rodri's comments about there was only one team. How on earth do you
hate when people say stuff like that?
How on earth a team to set up going away to City? If you play vulnerable, you are going to lose by multiple goals. Yep. The only way to get anything out of a game is to play that way. So that frustrates me from his point of view, because that's just being a sore loser.
Well, remember, he did come from Atlético, so he probably does not like Real Madrid.
It's very personal. It's very personal.
Sure, but
which is understandable.
Arsenal a couple weeks ago did the same exact thing and got a positive result.
Yep.
You cannot go to City and overexpose yourself on the counterattack and assume you're going to get a positive result. So I think he's a sore loser for that. And I understand emotions are there, but come on. You have to play that way to get a result at City.
I'm not surprised, though, because, soccer is a sport of sore losers, as we'll get to later. But...
Oh, I know who you're referring to. But anyway, next up, we got to talk about Bayern Munich versus Arsenal. Andrew's championship prediction
Mine too.
Our first
I hate the quarterfinals.
Our first episode, folks. That was the game. That was the two teams in the final that Andrew and Christian both had, and we got it in the quarterfinals instead. Joshua Kimmich was the one to put Bayern over the line with his nice goal with a header in like the 60-something minute, and that's all it took for Bayern to beat Arsenal. I think it was 3-2 on aggregate. I just want to give my stamp on this year. I think Arsenal, this is a big letdown. I know Bayern have a lot of pedigree. They have a lot of great players, but this was Arsenal's moment, in my opinion. When you look at the fact that they could barely score against Porto, and I know that they had 2 goals in the first leg, but they got shut out, which is a big time rarity for Arsenal. I think this is a big letdown, and I think that they just seemed like a team that they weren't ready for the big moment. They were not ready. I mean, and I get it because they haven't been here in a very long time. It's the first time for this sort of core group of players. But obviously, if you're an Arsenal fan, you're very disappointed because that was a chance for you to win silverware, and now it's gone. Anyway, I'm going to start with Christian this time. Christian, tell me what you thought of this match.
I'll pat myself on the back here because Mr. Block had 5 points after the round of 16, and I got a perfect score here. So, yeah, honestly, this is kind of how I expected it to go once we saw the first leg. Arsenal awesome defensively all year. I felt that this game they were going to hope to create 2 or 3 moments on the counterattack with Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz and Martinelli and hope that, one of those results in a goal. It did not come. They only had 1 big chance created. So disappointed for Arsenal. I agree, Jacob. I think if you asked Arsenal fans going into the season in a title race and get to a Champions League quarterfinal, they would take it. But with context against the worst Bayern Munich team in probably a decade, I think they'll be disappointed. And I think that's how they should feel because, Bayern are not in a great moment. And they are now in a Champions League semifinal in a season where their coach is leaving at the end of the season. There's a lot of misfit toys, per se, in the team.
Great analogy.
I think the next step for Arsenal next season is to find a strong number 9 who they can rely on. I said that in our preview for this round of games. I still believe that, whether it's a Victor Osimhen or an Alexander Isak, someone of that caliber needs to come in and be their number 9 to me to challenge for a Champions League. They have a great defense.
I agree.
An elite right winger. They have a strong number 10 and a great number 6. They have a lot of good pieces in place to potentially win a Champions League in the next couple of years, but they will not go that far and take the next step for me unless they have a number 9 who can match against an Erling Haaland, a Harry Kane, a Kylian Mbappe. They need someone who is at the higher level to me to reach that level in the Champions League.
I agree. I think Osimhen should be their number 1 target. Obviously, there have been rumors about him going to Chelsea. If you're Victor Osimhen, and I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm going to say this: you do not want to go to Chelsea. I mean, would I take you? Yeah, please come on down. But if you're using your head, you're at Napoli, which is a mess right now. You want to go to an even bigger mess in London? I don't think you do. I'm not saying I don't want him. I'm just saying if I was him, I would not go to Chelsea right now. I think Isak's a great shout. I think he's having a really good season. I wonder how much he's worth. That I'm really curious about how much the team would pay for him. Do you think a team would pay $100 million for him? Do you disagree?
I think with the market, I think that's what it would require, in my opinion. Really? Unless Arsenal were to send, an Emile Smith Rowe back to try to drop the fee down.
I don't think they take him back, but maybe it would. I don't know.
Newcastle are in a weird period.
Yeah.
With Tonali's suspension and all the things financially, are they going to sell Bruno Guimaraes, Seb Botman? They got to sell someone to balance out the books. I think Isak would get the biggest fee. I think with the need for strikers around the world, I think Isak would get the biggest fee of those three.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think that even if they do, I think they should try and find a way to keep him, because I think if they lose him, if you take Isak out of Newcastle this year, they're probably 13th. They're definitely in below the top 10 in my personal opinion. That's how good he's been in front of goal. But Andrew, I want to get your thoughts on this game that we've been talking about between Arsenal and Bayern Munich. How would you assess the game, that the two legs, and more importantly, the second leg?
I mean, Arsenal just really are right about Bayern. Just how they play is perfect for a tournament, and it really I think it showcased itself more in this leg rather than the first leg.
Yeah.
The first leg, kind of back and forth. That's kind of how I expected things to go. But back in Munich, I mean, they played composed. I mean, that Kimmich goal, it was a free header. I mean, absolutely no one around.
Really good ball from Rafa Guerrero.
Very good ball. So, I mean, it's not like, Arsenal played very well defensively, I thought, throughout as well. But, I mean, just Christian's right. Not enough attacking. And, I mean, Martinelli had a few shots that were wide of net that I remember. I mean, Odegaard had some chances, but they need a number 9 desperately, and you can't just hope that Gabby Jesus can get enough fitness and be that number 9, because he can't be. And when he came on, he didn't really do anything. I mean, you expect him to do something as a 9. He didn't even shoot it, I think. Not that I remember. But and when you're starting Kai Havertz as that 9, like, what are you doing? So
it's worked out against the
mid-table Premier
League. You cannot be starting Kai Havertz as a 9 in the Champions League quarterfinal.
But it has worked
unless Thomas
Tuchel's
the manager.
Premier League.
Now, I did have Kai Havertz as my X factor. I did have him as my X factor. Massive mistake. No, Bayern just was more. I mean, you can't really say much about this second leg. It was just, it kind of happened. Not a lot happened.
They did what they had to do to win. It's really that simple.
Exactly. At home, it was what that had to happen at home. I mean, say what you want about Arsenal not creating chances, but the chances they did create, Neuer handled them well. So I mean, good performance from a 38-year-old goalkeeper. He did what he had to do. Bayern did what they had to do. Tuchel ball advances. Arsenal still have something to play for the Premier League, so it's not like their season's done at all. But it's very disappointing with considering the hype Arsenal had entering the Champions League season as a whole, especially with the final being at Wembley. They would have had an amazing turnout.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think Arsenal fans should be I don't want to say disappointed.
It's a weak Bayern.
But they shouldn't be.
They should be frustrated.
But they shouldn't be saying that this was, because I've seen some discourse saying it was disgraceful, and I'm like, this is not disgraceful territory. That's an overreaction. Frustrated, sure, but don't say it's a disgrace.
They'll be kicking themselves in the first leg.
They'll be kicking themselves, but hey, if they end up, like you say, Christian, if they end up winning taking points in their last 6, not dropping points in their last 6, and win the Prem somehow, some way, they should not be disappointed. So keep fighting, and you'll see what happens. But this is about after the first leg. This is about the way I thought it would turn out. Bayern taking control at home. So not much to say, like I said, because not a lot happened.
All right, well, I know that we're going to have a lot to say about this next match between FC Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain, or, PSG. 4-1 PSG win the game, 6-4 on aggregate. Obviously, a lot happened in this game. Barcelona take the lead early. Rafinha stays hot. But then a red card from Ronald Araujo sort of, I think, didn't put them in a tailspin. But I think it was like the first of many other moments that had them lose their mojo. And we're going to talk a lot of Xavi with this. I know Andrew has a lot to say, but I just want to say, and look, say this right now. I was wrong to believe in Xavi and Barcelona. I shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake. I was misguided by their good form in La Liga. I was wrong, and I've been wrong on. I somehow got every damn game wrong. All four of them wrong. I mean, I don't know what to say, but from a Xavi, this is my thing with Xavi, that I get annoyed with him because I actually think he's a decent manager when he doesn't let his inner devil get in his head. He's like the little kid that you need to just make sure they stay behaved and they got the good behavior. But when that bad behavior is out, it's like ram. You know what I mean? It's like a dog attacking someone. It's like all hope is lost. And that's the problem with Xavi, because this team sort of embodied him. And when he lost his cool and got sent off, they sort of fell apart. It's really that simple. Kylian Mbappe took over. It seemed very clear that Ousmane Dembele had an axe to grind and pulled no punches with how he's going to perform. Probably the best he's performed all year. But I think this was a big missed opportunity for Barcelona, because I think they definitely could have beat this PSG team if they stayed composed, if they didn't let their heads blow over. And I really think they still could have beaten Atleti or Dortmund. I really do. I think they could have gotten to the final. But Andrew, I know you got a lot to say, so I'm going to let you start this off. Andrew, let it roll.
First off, congrats to my guy, Kylian Mbappe, winning his first El Clasico. This is great. Great for business. He did his duty as a Real Madrid player, winning against FC Barcelona in Barcelona. He'll do it at the Camp Nou soon when it's ready, but I guess the Olympic Stadium will have to do. Wow, the shots, the ISOs, the sad Barca supporters who willingly went out of their way, thinking they were going to witness Barcelona moving on to the semifinals, and they go home in disappointment, which is always the best feeling for a Real Madrid supporter. And Xavi.
Oh, no. Here we go, folks. This may be Andrew's rant of the week, so here we go.
No. This is not a.
Oh, no?
Okay. I love this. It feeds into my narrative.
You love this.
No, this is great stuff. Listen. And I quote.
Oh, no.
It's a pity our Champions League is over due to referee's mistake. I just told the referee he's been a disaster. It's the reality. Xavi, what kind of reality do you live in?
God.
What multiverse do you live in that the referee ended Barcelona's season? First off, rightful red for Araujo. Rightful red. Denied a goal scoring opportunity.
I disagree.
Denied a goal scoring opportunity.
I know it's UCL, but come on, Christian, I think will vouch for me. The Premier League, they do that all the time. It's never.
I don't care if the Premier League does it all the time. This is absolutely. This is a transition take foul. This is a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. Absolute red in the box. I mean, just outside the box too. Absolute red. Now, second, the referee's a disaster. A disaster? Are you kidding me? No, Xavi. What happened was that once that red occurred, you guys lost your cool. You guys were already screaming, "Season over! Throw the white flag!" You were going nuts, and because of that, PSG and Luis Enrique, who has done a great job at PSG this year, great job. They took complete. I mean, they were just dominating, scoring goals left and right, eventually winning 4-1. Great comeback in Barcelona. Kylian Mbappe, what else can you say, man? What else can you say? This dude is him.
Best player in the world.
And
he's Mahomes. I mean,
he is.
I know he hasn't had the team success as far as the club level, but to me, he's Patrick Mahomes of soccer.
And I love the narrative that this is his last dance at PSG.
You better hope it is. You better hope that His Excellency Emmanuel Macron doesn't get involved again.
Well, Macron, I don't know if you saw this.
I know, I think I did.
No, he put out a quote the other day. He said, "I hope Real Madrid release Mbappe for the Olympics this summer." So
he knows.
Macron and Mbappe are best friends.
Oh, they're very
so
tight,
so and the Emir, they're all best friends. So they all go to Nobu together. So they know that he's going to Real Madrid, and so great performance from Kylian. His last dance. I hope they lose to Real Madrid in the final, and then it's really a Kevin Durant situation. But this is a disgrace. And then and then Xavi, and I quote, well, this isn't, I'll quote later. Luis Enrique said after the match, he's like, it was basically what I'm saying now. Without the red, PSG would have won. PSG would have won. And he also said, a little bit of trolling, that he hopes Xavi will coach at Barca for many years. And Luis Enrique, I totally agree.
Oh,
I totally agree. I hope that Xavi reverses his decision. I hope he stays at Barca for many years. And Xavi had the most punkish response of all time. The most crybaby. This is peak Xavi right here, folks. Peak Xavi. He goes, "I say no to both." What a joke. What a joke.
It does bother me that I know that you guys he's a troll, but I do genuinely feel that if he's like has his eye on the prize and isn't like he let himself get in his head, I do think he's a decent manager because he gets results out of his team and they play well.
Tactically, he's awesome.
I think he's the best manager they've had since Enrique.
I totally agree. I've been saying, if you hear what I've been saying, I don't go after him for in-game tactics and
just his
game
attitude.
planning.
It's the attitude.
He has the most crybaby attitude. I mean, it's him and Mikel Arteta. They are the biggest crybabies in the sport. And I'm glad that Luis Enrique owned him both on the pitch and off the pitch with his comments. This is great to see. And I'm very happy for PSG. Their supporters not choking away a quarterfinal. And they get a favorable matchup, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Against Dortmund. Now say what you want about Dortmund. They've been in the Champions League. We deny them and they show up somehow.
We tried to write them off so many times.
Exactly. Someone didn't write them off.
Excuse me.
Right.
One of us did not write.
You're excused.
But so what was I saying? Yes, so they'll have a favorable shot against Dortmund to get to the final. But lastly, Jacob, my man, my guy, you said that you said last week on this very program that Barcelona was going to go all the way and win the Champions League.
Not just win the tie.
Win the Champions League.
The Champions League.
What a joke. What a joke.
Egg on my face.
This they bottled it. They bottled it at home. They did
And they had it. When I saw that Rafinha goal, I was like, they're gonna do it.
By the way, Rafinha somehow becoming Lionel Messi. It was not in my
It's because he's a Xavi guy. He did it for Xavi. He
insane.
Xavi.
But Rafinha didn't even realize that was gonna be a goal. Like, he had to like turn around and see if it went in the net. He couldn't even see it. But absolute disgrace that you picked Barcelona. I'm glad it backfired.
I shouldn't have done it.
It's okay. I forgive you. Xavi probably won't. But
will you accept me supporting Real Madrid the rest of the way?
I do accept you. You've been a long time supporter of the cause.
I've always said, if it ain't Chelsea, it's Real Madrid.
You have always said that.
Especially when they play Liverpool in the final, but that's beside the point.
Yes.
Oh, that's enough out of you.
A wonderful time. But
2 wonderful times.
But the fact that you chose Barcelona did put a little dent in that.
I know, but I don't know. I got caught up in the
like I said, don't worry. I forgive you. I forgive you.
It would have been. I was trying to get a great narrative.
You were tempted by the dark side, and light prevailed, and that light was Kylian Mbappe. Ray Hudson, by the way. You can never go wrong with Ray Hudson.
I mean, the thing that he said about he's attached like a kid to his cell phone.
He's grown up. Oh, I love Ray Hudson so much.
Oh my god!
And he even said the last dance line when Mbappe scored his second.
He did. He
goes,
say that.
If this is his last dance at Paris, this is spectacular.
A spectacular occasion.
I love Ray Hudson. But I digress. Amazing performance.
Alrighty then, I think that's enough with this matchup. Our final Champions League game that we're going to go over is Atlético Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund, a game that I think Christian had Dortmund. So props to him. But this was a wild game, boys. Back and forth. It just seemed like Atletico from the jump were incredibly disorganized, which is not something you say about teams coached by Diego Simeone very often. The 4th minute, when Alvaro Morata missed that sitter, I had PTSD like I was a damn Vietnam War veteran. Oh my god. I was like, oh my god, I've seen this so many times. Because he had to play it at his feet. That's why. And I want to say this. I know Jan Oblak is considered a world-class goalkeeper. I thought he was awful. I thought he was terrible in that game. I mean, the goals that he gave up, more the first 2, or a couple, like the Brant one I thought was bad. I thought he could have saved that. And he just seemed like he was disorganized. He seemed like he was, I don't know. It wasn't all bad. He did have some plays where he came up big. But for them to surrender 4 goals, he definitely deserves a lot of the blame, in my opinion. And Atleti just, you can't say it was a no-show, but it was an incredibly disorganized effort. And you got to give Dortmund credit because they took advantage of it, and they're in the semifinal of the Champions League. So, Christian, because you were the one who picked Dortmund, I want you to start us off.
Before I even get to my point of view, I do want to mention what Ricardo had to say.
Please do.
He said, quote, he was impressed by how Dortmund scored 2 goals in the span of 5 minutes.
Ian Madsen.
He also mentioned that Nicholas Füllkrug's header was amazing, which I would agree, given the angle. And, he's a striker who, we had questions about and whether he could lead the line, and, he's done it. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for what they've done, but just the lack of defending in big moments for me is what caught my attention. Madrid under Simeone has been a defensive team, and this year they've kind of stepped out of that shell a little bit, but it didn't show in the big moments in that night, and Dortmund took advantage of it. And you have to give them credit for the goals they scored because they put a lot of pressure on them at home, and it proved to be the difference maker for me.
Andrew?
Dortmund looked like a world-class team, especially the second leg. Absolute. I mean, the goals, all of them looked just, oh my God. I mean, I agree with Ricardo completely on Füllkrug. What a header. And, I mean, this is the most, every year I've been watching the sport, Atlético has always looked the same. No matter who's on the roster, they've looked the same. They're just that gritty, pesky team that somehow is going to get 1 or 2 goals and somehow get points. This organization is an understatement for how terrible they look defensively.
Oh my
terrible.
God. Capitulation.
Terrible. Real Madrid played more like Atlético Madrid this week.
It's a great.
Than
you're
Atlético
exactly
Madrid
right.
has played all of this season. It's like they swapped. I don't know if it's Freaky Friday. I just it's insane. I never expected this from Atlético, especially under Diego Simeone, who I respect. I respect Simeone as a rival manager, unlike that fraud Xavi.
He's consistent. He's always gonna wear that black suit. Always the black suit. Hair always messed up.
Yep.
Always
Simeone is a freak. He's a psychopath, and I respect that.
I think you'd have to force him to leave Atlético for him to leave.
I agree. I think it would take them a lot to let him go.
It'd be like Bob Knight leaving Indiana. Like there'd be an uprising.
But very disappointing for Atlético, who I did pick to move on in this draw. But Dortmund, man, just as I alluded to before, we keep doubting them, and they step up. I mean, say what you want about Terzic, but he's managed well throughout this Champions League. Hey, and they look complete. I mean, whenever I watch them in the Bundesliga, I mean, they don't look the same at all. It's like I'm watching two different. It's like I'm watching two different sides when they play in the Champions League compared to the Bundesliga.
Kind of like Bayern.
I think it's more extreme.
I would agree,
though.
but it's funny how those two Bundesliga teams that are left have had such odd years in their domestic leagues. Yet in the Champions League, they just always seem to patch together when they have to.
Like Dortmund had, I mean, just a few short weeks ago, just lost to Stuttgart at home. I mean, it's insane what's going on. But hey, props to them, props to Terzic, and
give a shout out to a player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marcel Sabitzer, who had such a bizarre period at Bayern, and remember he was at loan last year at Manchester United.
Yep.
And had 2 assists and a goal.
He looked he looked like a 10. I was like, what the hell? This is flying all over the place.
And what's even more interesting about his performance is he had the least amount of touches on the field, but my goodness, he made them worth it. I mean,
you got that right.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, he's got 5 goal contributions in his last 2. He had 2 goals in their league game over the weekend. And then he backed that up by being the man of the match in the game that puts them into the Champions League semifinal. I mean, that must feel good for him because, he has had a weird period since leaving Leipzig in 2021. But hey, kudos to him for showing up because I thought one of the keys in this match was the domination in midfield with Julian Brandt, who could have scored an equalizer in the first leg. I thought he was really dangerous on the ball. Emre Can has been their captain this season and has done really well. So, yeah, Dortmund, especially at home, are a true threat. And, I think they will prove to be a tough out against PSG. I know that's seems a little far-fetched. But again,
I agree.
Through the group of death, they got past PSV. They've gotten past Atletico Madrid. I would still consider them a threat.
Yeah, and I mean, going back, to their group stage play. I mean, don't forget. I mean, like the group of death, they were in the same group as PSG.
Mm-hmm. So
as
these
well.
teams seen each other twice.
they drew 1-1.
That was match day 6.
That was yes, that was at Dortmund. That was December 13th, and I forgot their first match. They lost 2-0 at Paris. So, I mean, they can hang with PSG. They've proven it. So we'll see if it advances in the semifinals, which is, as we all know, a much different beast than the group stage. So, see what happens.
All right, I think that's enough of the Champions League. We are now going to go to our best bets for this week. Obviously, I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go with Cole Palmer, who's going to score, who I hope will score against his former club in Manchester City in this weekend's round of the semifinal for the FA Cup. Bet is Cole Palmer, anytime goal score at plus 230. 10 to win 23. Now, folks, you know how I am. I try and keep it safe. If you are going to actually gamble these picks, I do this so you don't blow a lot of money away. You got to be smart. You got to save that money. And we're going to keep it safe. I think the problem with Chelsea, though, I will say this, is that they need Cole Palmer to score. And I know Pep knows that. He also knows Cole Palmer really well, which is a big concern to me. I'm very worried that he's going to devise some plan where he's going to put Rodri on him the entire game and he's not going to let him breathe, which is my worst nightmare. But we'll see what happens. Christian, why don't you give us your best bet?
Sure. Andrew, if you want to throw that up on the screen.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
a classic Major League Soccer.
A double. Oh, my God, folks. Wow.
So we're going to go with the Houston Dynamo to beat Austin FC at home. Houston have won 4 of their last 5. And Austin are 11th in the Western Conference at the moment. Houston are 3rd. So I feel good about that one.
The Texas Bowl.
And Columbus Crew money line against Portland. Of course, Columbus, the reigning champs. And Portland have not won any games in their last 5. And they're on the road. I'll take Cucho Hernandez to lead the line.
Is that the team managed by Phil Neville?
No, that's Portland.
Portland, yes.
Oh, it is Portland.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about
Columbus.
Crew.
Why did that man ever lead the England women national team? I think he probably thinks about that every night.
He's trying to give his son a chance. Is Harvey still involved? I think he's with Portland, right? He must be in their youth academy.
No, I'm not.
Don't know.
Sure.
I damn sure don't know.
He was with him in Inter. I know he was with him in Inter Miami when Phil was managing them. But Houston Dynamo, their goal song is stuck in my head. Houston Dynamo.
Was it like the Orlando Magic song?
Dude.
We had that on speed dial.
Houston Dynamo.
Kind of like it. Who's singing that?
No clue.
I gotta say, I kind of like it. Andrew,
best goal song in MLS.
Andrew, why don't you give us your best bet?
Yeah, no, I got a little Bundesliga and Serie A action here. I got Bayer Leverkusen, who are going on to win the Bundesliga. Congrats to my guy, Xabi Alonso. I mean, just a wonderful year. I got to ride him here, as they take on Dortmund away. It's gonna be tough, but Leverkusen are under. They still have plus money in that match, so I'll take the Bundesliga champs. I'll parlay that with my good boys in Turin, Juventus. My guy Weston McKennie. my guy Timothy Weah as they take on Cagliari away. And if you parlay them, get them at plus 354. I'm putting them $20 to win $70.86.
Good stuff. Oh yeah, what do you guys know Ricardo's bet is?
Yep, we got it.
Oh, please, let's get to him. We don't want to forget about Ricardo.
Team.
Son of a gun.
He's got the two Manchester clubs in the FA Cup final. 10 or 20 to win, 25-71.
Well, I hope he's half right. I do want Man U to win, because if not, my father's going to be very upset. Especially if they lose to freaking Coventry. But anyway, those are all our best bets. I think that's going to do it for our show today, unless you boys have anything you'd like to add.
Well done running the show today.
Did I drive
Jacob,
the car?
We stayed on the road.
Did we stay on the road? I was going to ask, did I keep the train on the track? Did I keep the car on the road?
Yes, you did.
Maybe
if Ricardo were here, he would say something different. But Jacob, Crispin and I were okay.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to listen to us, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much, and have a good one, everybody.